So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Just this gorgeous guidebook. So what I love, as soon as we arrive, you have your intro image, the name of that tour, and then this is where we also have your hashtag and then your Instagram handle. Let's make it easier for more ways for people to start sharing with their friends. And this is just one of those ways that they know immediately. As soon as they get into the guidebook, I want to hit them with some heart. I want a little bit of heart here, that I want a message from you, the owner operator, welcoming them to the tour, thanking them. If you would have this in here, I want a little signature from you that we can help you create to get up here digitally. So it feels authentic, that while the owner operator can't be on every single one of the tours, this is one of those small steps that we want to start incorporating more of that larger vision back into the tour itself, is that it's not all about the guide. Let's start getting them bought in to ATL Cruisers as a whole, get them bought into Taste of Troy as a whole for some of this. Once we go from the welcome, we're going to step into today's tour. We just want some of the highlights. What are some of those small things they need to know? And when Sean, Aaron, and I were building out the website system for tours, one of the things we found through some review mining was people really wanted to know just when they'd be able to use a restroom at some points. And so let's get some of that information, these personal things that they really want to know. And this whole area is set up with categories. So if you have more things you want them to know in this area, you can just keep adding sections. We don't suggest putting in too many, but at least get started with a few so they kind of know some of these major highlights for things. Then we step in, give them a little bit of information about the guide. I want this connection back with the guide, more than just the person kind of showing up cold. I want this picture. I want 2 to 3 sentences about why this guide is great for that tour. That we never get the chance to tell them that. We never really get the chance to sell a tour guide to a group of people. We kind of usually just have the guide show up and get started. Here, we can talk a little more. We can make Emily kind of a little more real before she gets there. And let's talk about her favorite restaurant or her favorite bar or hangout spot and bring a little more life to who she is, that we can do that with the guidebook inside of this area. Then we get into your tour stops. Let's map them all out. These people don't know where they are. Let's give them a map, show them what's happening, where the different spots are. Then let's talk about what's coming up on those stops, give them a little preview of each one. And then we let them click in to each of these major stops on the tour. And this right here up at the top is one of the features that was inspired by Dylan's tours in San Francisco. That one of the spots on his tour, we drove past a church where Marilyn Monroe married Joe DiMaggio, I believe is who it was, that whole little situation that went on. And he was talking about some of the pictures that exist from that area. I wanted to be able to hold up my phone and look at the pictures that were taken from the spot I was standing. And this is one of those little heartfelt moments that we can start making with tours, to be able to hold it up and see a classic photo of something you're looking at today, to have that person feel like they're standing right where this picture was taken and really capture that moment in time. That by adding in this top area with photos per stop, we can start to show more of the history, more of what happened with the stories that we're telling at each of these. When we scroll down the page a little further, we can get into specifics, especially for food tours. We can start to talk about, hey, here's what you're going to eat at this stop. You can include any allergy information in here that you need to as well within that description. And then with our best partners and vendors, let's go ahead and throw a coupon in there. We can put in a little something and coordinate with that team about how they want to redeem it, whether it's a word that's being changed out, or if they just need to show the guidebook and the restaurant's keeping track of it. But having those coupons inside of here in that digital format, and even being able to put on expiration dates with those as well. Then we're done. So we've gone through all the tours. We stepped through. I followed along at each one. I got to see this amazing photo of Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio on my phone and feel like I was there. Now what? So this is where we want to talk a little more about the different spots they can go once they're done with the tour. Very much like a resource area that we've seen inside of a lot of printed guidebooks. And for this, there's 2 ways to approach this page. One of them is saying, here are ATL Cruisers recommended spots. And every tour guide just kind of pushes those same spots. Or making it a little more personal to who that guide is, and allowing that guide to take a little more responsibility for this area and saying, well, no, these are my favorite spots. These are the spots I want to promote. And then just getting approved by you to say that they're in there. That we start to give the tour guide almost a little more ownership of the guidebook. And eventually, I'd like to see that the owner operator is not responsible for setting up the guidebooks, but that this is something that you've kind of set up your staff and your tour guides to be able to do on their own, that they can create the guidebooks. They can go through and make the updates for their tours. And then we have all this information inside of here for them. Then we get into encouraging them to leave a review. The tour's done. Everyone, please take 5 minutes on your phone, go through and leave a review. What I love about this area is that you can choose which of these review sites you want to show. So if we want to build up a lot of tours on Google for some reason, and we're making a big push for Google traffic, let's get rid of TripAdvisor, Facebook, and Yelp. Let's make Google reviews the only option and filter more people towards it. Same thing with TripAdvisor or Facebook. We want to guide it there. Let's get rid of Google, get rid of Yelp. And we're always then looking for kind of where do we need, what do we need? Past that, again, we're at the end of the tour. Finally, the ability to tip digitally. Clicking these links will launch the app, which whatever they have, based on what they click, to be able to go tip that person. And these will be connected to the username of the tour guide. What we've also included in here is a suggestion of what to tip with some different levels. So here's the approximate percentage or dollar amount based on the ticket of that tour. And here's what justifies these different levels of spending. And this is something that I've never had before in a digital guidebook. And no one's ever really given me suggestions of how to tip. And I feel like a lot of times people just assume, $5. I'll give them $5 or $10. Now we have a better expectation. Now they have a better understanding of not how much they should tip, but also how easy it is to go do it digitally, that they don't need to worry about having that cash on them anymore. This little baby is perhaps one of my favorite little things inside of it. We're going to put marketing questions in, because the more feedback we get from people, the better decisions we can continue to make. And we're going to work with you on what questions need to be asked inside of these areas, because asking the right question can be so vital to getting the answer that we want. And in this case, when we ask them, what was your favorite stop on the tour? What we get is what is the least favorite or least popular stop on your tour. So we can start using these to make better decisions, that we don't always need to ask which one is the best. But if we see that fourth stop, no one ever picks it as their favorite, all of a sudden we start to know, here's some adjustments we can make inside the tour. And this is a part of the customer journey that we've never really had vision into before, that now we do. We're a part of it, and we can start asking a lot of those questions there. When we get to the end, so at the end of the guidebook, we have our nice little thank you message. And then that big thing we talked about earlier on about how do we get people to share with their friends? If we can get them to tell more people about it, we know we're going to do better and make more money. And this is where at the end of the guidebook, we want to offer that coupon and make it as easy as clicking a button to send a friend a text message about the tour. Again, it's in their hand. They've been moving through this and going through, and that there's concepts and user experience where someone is more likely to take an action after they've taken a previous action. And so in this case, they've taken so many actions with the guidebook already that we want to use these actions to roll them into one another and get to this point where they're sending that link off to their friend. That's where the guidebook ends. They can go back and re-access at any time. And this is what we think is going to do incredible things for this part of the tour, for having some heart, getting more reviews, and tipping guides digitally.